Today's demonstration is on how to draw basic shapes. We're not going to work on any shading today, which is why the lights are up. We're just going to learn how to draw a sphere, a cylinder, and a cube. Okay. Why is it important? Because everything that you draw is comprised of some type of basic shape. If we learn how to draw the basic shape first, then we're able to get volume for whatever object we want to learn how to draw. Okay? If we don't know how to draw basic shapes, then it's really going to be hard to learn how to draw anything. Okay? First necessity is a straight line. How do you properly draw a straight line? Well, you would say maybe grab a ruler and then you get a straight line. But how do artists draw lines without a straight line? The key is searching lines. And what searching lines are basically a series of lines, light lines that are drawn to arrive at a correct line. And how do we do that? You know, what we're maybe accustomed to doing is something like this. Drawing like that. Okay? What I would like you to do, instead of holding your pencil like this, is have your table at an incline, and if you're a lab student and you're doing this at home, I understand that you don't have the benefit of having an inclined table, but it does make life easier. Hold your pencil in your hand lightly, like a conductor, like this. And then, without leaning on your table at all, you're using your non-drawing hand to hold your paper. Thank you. Lightly draw vertical lines on your paper, like this. And do a whole bunch. So for this demo, I'd like you to practice while I demo. And as you go along, see if you can possibly draw lines that are parallel to the side of your page. That means parallel means lines that would never cross, that are even. So this would not be parallel with the side of my page. See how this isn't parallel with that? But this one is. Nice and light. Awesome. It also helps to have your spiral out of the way of your hand. So if you have a spiral notebook and it's in the way of your hand, that kind of tends to get in the way. So the key is not to be leaning on your table and to draw a series of lines. Keep practicing until you can get a straight, confident line. Okay. Next thing I'd like you to try is a circle. Okay? So, holding your pencil very lightly the same way, you're going to draw a circle with searching lines. Because you know why? One of those lines is going to be right. I'm not concerned with how many lines you need to draw in order to get a successful circle. You can overlap them. It's really important that we don't lean on our desk when we're drawing. and that you hold your sketchbook with your non-drawing hand. Sometimes you can just lightly graze your paper with your pinky finger just to keep balanced. So try a few of those. Okay. The next thing that I'd like you to do is, whenever you need to, switch to a fresh page. And I want you to hold your cylinder. Take your cylinder in your hand and hold it in front of you and raise it up and down. Pretend like it's on a string, like there's an imaginary string going through your cylinder. So raise it up and down. What happens when it's at eye level to the top and bottom circle? When it's right at eye level, can you see the top and bottom circle? No. Move it slightly above eye level. Can you slightly above? Can you see the top circle? No. Can you see the bottom circle? Yes. Now move it below eye level. Now, can you see the bottom circle? Right, but you can see the top circle, okay? As you slowly move your cylinder down, what happens to that top circle? What happens to the shape? Does it change? What happens to it?
It basically adds like a dimension, I guess.
Let's put it this way. If you have your cylinder on your tabletop and you move it closer to eye level, but still you can still see the top, what happens to the top of that cylinder? It becomes more what or less what? It becomes bigger because it's closer to you. What happens to it? Look at it. See what happens. What happens to it? If it's low, it's circular, and then what happens as it gets higher? It should be more elliptical, less circular and more elliptical. So hold your cylinder again and pretend like it's on an invisible string. Okay, move it higher and higher, but so you can still see the top. Look at what happens to the top of the cylinder. Doesn't it change? Doesn't that circle change shape a little bit? Okay, good. So what we're learning is how to draw this in different perspectives. So as I move this up and down, it goes like, it moves from here to here until it's eye level, and it looks like that. And I can't see the top or the bottom. Okay? So what I want you to try to do is, I would like you to put your cylinder on your desk in front of you, and don't put the sphere on top. We're going to draw it so we can see the top of your cylinder, okay? So set it on your desk, on the flat part of your desk. Okay, and now instead of drawing a circle, we are going to draw an ellipse. Because this is what happens to our shape. So what I'd like you to practice is searching lines of ellipses. Okay. Practice some of those, and then it's going to get harder. Because then what we're going to do is what I'd like you to try to do next is draw an ellipse whose line of symmetry is parallel with the top of your page. So take a look up here for a second at the screen. See this ellipse? This line is parallel with this line. Means it would never cross. This line is parallel with this line. So your lines of symmetry should be parallel with the top and side. Now try that. It's a little bit more difficult. It's especially difficult to create an ellipse that is actually symmetrical. Some people create flat tires that look like this. And it's not symmetrical at all. So that's why we practice. So the whole goal in this is to learn how to create the illusion of a three-dimensional form on a flat page. And the way that we really can do that is through the element of design, shape, before we even start shading. Sometimes we forget our light searching lines. And once you got some that are good, make a cross on the inside and see if your lines of symmetry are parallel with the side and the bottom of your page. Okay. Okay. Next step. You're going to take your cylinder, put it on that flat spot in your desk. Make sure that there's nothing in the way. Like, try not to have like your other shapes in front. Make sure that you can just see that cylinder. Okay? In the video you can't see this, but my cylinder on my tabletop is in this perspective when I'm looking at it. Can you see that? This is the perspective it's in. So I can really see that top flat part, and I can see the sides, which are straight lines. Okay? What I want you to do is try to draw what you see for your cylinder, using what you learned about straight lines and ellipses. The key is, before you start, remember this. I'm not concerned about proportions, so it doesn't matter about like comparison of the height and width. But what I do want is, I want to see that you've used two ellipses that are the same size and shape. So practice that now. Your lines should be parallel to the sides of your page. It's hard. The other thing that should happen is your line of symmetry should be the top line of your two vertical parallel lines. Even harder. So take a minute to practice that. And you'll probably have to do more than one. Here's my sad face page. What often happens is students don't give themselves enough room on their page, and then they try to squeeze in their bottom ellipse. Give yourself enough room so your bottom ellipse is symmetrical. Okay. Another thing that happens to ellipses is the fisheye. Students tend to sometimes make pointy corners. In reality, when I look at this, at the angle of my tabletop, there's no points. I can't see any points. So make sure that's nice and even. Oh, 2 easy, Miss West. It's tough, but maybe you're leaning or something. How's your cylinder? So what you want to do is keep practicing. And then this is going to be out of here. You can really see the openness here. And then this is your line of symmetry. So this line should be parallel with this line. And this line should be parallel with this line. And then you're going to do two the same. I thought you did have a sketchbook for this class.
I'm missing since yesterday.
Did you have it in the shelf?
I never put it in the shelf.
Oh. Okay. Well, maybe it's at home.
Not at my house, I searched.
Okay, now, the next thing you're going to do is figure out what line to erase. So obvious, it's this line, right? Then you're going to take your eraser and erase. For some of you, you might see some of the line on the inside. Like if you have a really circular cylinder, or if you have it closer to you and you can see the inside. But however your cylinder looks where you have it on your desk, erase those sections and then with your correct lines you can go a little darker. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, now we can put that aside, and this is next. So your cube. Your 20-point assignment practice for drawing our, for moving on and drawing our sports object is going to be a sphere, a cube, and a cylinder shaded in desktop perspective. So we're just going to shade that, and we are going to use Sharpie marker. And we're creating an illusion of a three-dimensional thing on a flat page, which is cool. Okay. Now, next thing, moving on. I'd switch to a new page, and you know what the cool thing is about a sphere? We already practiced the spheres. We already practiced them when we practiced our circles. The difference between a circle and a sphere is shading. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Take your cube, right on the top of your page, parallel lines. So all of your lines need to be parallel, okay? So what I want you to do is practice what you learned on your straight lines. Have this cube on your tabletop. Now, some people have an object that is a cube shape for their sports object. Go ahead and allow this to be kind of, you know, helpful for you in the long run, and set it up at the same angle that you had your sports object. My suggestion is that you set it up so a point of it is facing you, okay? It's just more interesting and gives more of a sense of depth. So go ahead and take a minute to put this cube, however you're going to draw it, on the flat part of your desk. Okay, so do that now. You're trying your game thing, right? Is the cube your game thing?
Is it cube?
No, that game thing that you drew yesterday is that shape. Basic shape. So, here we go. So I'm going to draw this, and the way that I'm going to do it is you want to start with your straight lines. We already practiced those, right? Again, I'm not concerned about proportions. I'm not worried about that. We learn about that later. So, straight lines. All parallel to each other. If I draw more than what I need, it makes it easier. Now the hard part. This is where students struggle. Then you're going to make the top, because you really see the top. How do you make those straight lines? This line and this line are what to each other? These two lines.
They should be parallel?
Absolutely. They should be parallel. So if you were to create an infinite line, they would never cross. Okay? And now I'm going to create this line and this line parallel. Now this line and this line are parallel. Like that. And then basically I'm done. If your shape is lying down, then what's wrong with this?
Not parallel.
Not right. And then you can just fix it with your light searching lines. So, what I'd like you to do is take the rest of the class and practice this. I'm going to come around. In the end, what I'd like you to have is a sphere, a cylinder, my pencil. Sharpen your pencil if you need to. And a cube. So this is our goal for today, all on one page. Okay? And that's it. So get your practice of your cube, and then we're going to move on to this. Tomorrow we're going to learn how to shade them. And then we're ready for our sports object.